right, here we are with example number 1 in your Pear Deck. And so if we want to look at the domain and range, again, we start for domain at the far left. So we're starting at negative infinity way over here. And as we approach the graph, I notice that -5 is the first place that I see the graph. And then if I continue to go along here, I can see that the graph stops at 3. If I look at range, starting at the bottom, I see that the graph starts at -2. I run into the graph itself, not the dot at -1, because I see graph before then. I see graph at -2. So the possibilities here, whenever you are looking at domain and range, you may run into an open dot, a closed dot, just the graph itself, or you might run into an arrow. So we need to be able to take into account all 4 of those possibilities. All right, so now that I have my lines drawn, I want to answer this in inequality notation. So let's look at our domain first. And in inequality notation, I see that I have an open circle, and I'm starting at -5 and I go to 3. So I'm going to write my smallest number. X is going to be somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in this area is where X is existing. And then I end at 3. Because I have an open dot on the left, I'm going to have a less than, and because I have a closed dot on the right, it's a less than or equal to. Now, that's in inequality notation. I'm going to go ahead and also write this in our notation for interval notation, just to have that as an extra reference for you. So remember that it's the smallest number, comma, biggest number, and then you fill in parentheses or brackets. Parentheses for an open dot and a bracket for a closed dot. So this is interval notation. If you wanted to write set notation, it's basically our inequality notation put in those fancy braces. All real numbers x such that -5 is less than x is less than or equal to 3. And don't forget to close your bracket. Okay, let's look at range now. So the range for this graph, we start at -2. X is somewhere in the middle here. So starting in -2 and going up to about 4.2 maybe. So we'll put X in the middle and then a positive 4.2. And because I actually run into the graph here, it's continuous. That means that it's like a closed dot. So consider any time that you just hit the graph to be a closed dot. So that means that I have the less than or equal to, and then I also have a closed dot at 4.2. So it looks like this. That's inequality notation. If I wanted to write interval notation, it would be my smallest number followed by my largest number. Both of those get brackets because of the less than or equal to. So this is my interval notation, and then set notation would be identical to our inequality notation, except that it's all real numbers y with the brace, such that -2 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 4.2.